Welcome to UFO Buster Radio Daily UFO Report. So as I said yesterday, I am going to do a daily report, but it won't be daily. Looking at what I found as far as reporting, I figured this will be a bit more productive if these daily reports occur on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with the usual show on Sunday. So like I said before, this little UFO report show will basically be about 15 to 20 minutes. And it's basically just to give you a heads up what's happening in the news world of ufology, UFO research, all that good stuff. For those of you who don't have the time to look this stuff up, and to be honest, a lot of times I don't either, and so I fall behind. That's the one reason I started the Flipboard account. Whenever I come across a story, and I'm thinking it might be a good idea to come back to it later, I stick it in the Flipboard account for UFO Buster Radio, and I go back to it later on when I remember that I've got new stories in there. Which again, as I said before, life happens, and sometimes we just don't get back to those stories. But for the first episode of the report, we have an oldie but goodie. Folks, the Tabby star is at it again. If you remember last year, we talked about this on the podcast, and it is star KIC 8462852. The star continues to dim for no apparent reason that anyone that's a scientist and an astronomer can figure out. Now, I just figured out why this thing was called the Tabby's star. It turns out the astronomer that identified the dimming of this star, her first name is Tabetha, and I'm going to mutilate the last name, but it's Boyajian. So, you'll see it under three different names. It'll be KIC 8462852, the Boyajian star, or the Tabby's star. So we'll go with the easiest. We'll just go by the Tabby star because I'm tired of mutilating that name. But anyway, back in the day when they first found this, and they had no plausible explanation for this star to be dimming as much as it does, scientists basically had a hypothesis that either it was changing because there was a crap load of comets that were passing in front of the star, or there were some extremely strong magnetic interference going on. Last, and the one that they really tried to argue against fully, and there was a lot of divisive conversation about this, it was the Dyson sphere theory about this star having a megastructure built around it to basically harvest the power of that star. Which was interesting because not too long after the first incident was reported about the star dimming, when the idea was put out of a Dyson star, it was shot down. And if you read the initial reports, people are going, yeah, this has got to be a bunch of comets. What you didn't see, because it wasn't, touted as an answer or as a humongous gap in the theories, is that shortly after people started saying that this had to be comets, it was ruled out because there was no specific and true evidence substantial enough to really say this was merely a bunch of comets hanging around this star. What's happening now is that they've been keeping an eye on this star to see when it dims. One of the biggest problems with researching this particular star is that it didn't do it with any type of frequency that was predictable. So astronomers around the world have been keeping an eye on it and basically established a network so that they can call upon some of the biggest, most powerful telescopes on the planet to aim on this particular star whenever the dimming was detected, and it happened recently. So the importance of this is that the scientists have indicated that if they can get a spectral analysis of the gases involved with the dimming of the star, they'll definitely should be able to figure out whether this is something that's coming away or to or just in front of the star, but they'll also be able to tell if this spectral analysis indicates that these are comets that are basically blocking the light from us from the angle that we're looking at it, I guess. Which I would think that angle changes by the second, being that, we're moving so far away from the center of the galaxy or of the universe altogether. But nonetheless, they have a plan together. They're going to use a spectral analysis to figure out and rule out or prove that this was actually a bunch of comets just coming back again, going for a hayride right in front of the Tabby star. So keep an eye on this. It's coming up. I'm sure we're going to have an update pretty shortly about this as far as what's going on with this Tabby star.
How you doing? This is Guido the boss, and I want you to listen to the guys over there at what is that called, huh? UFO Buster Radio. Yeah, that's it. Manny Moonraker, and go to their website. Waste a lot of time. UFOBusterRadio.com, and tell them Guido sent you. Shut up.
So news report number 2 is a real doozy. You might have heard us also talk in the past about certain people who the ufology community really thinks that they're hoaxing and creating clickable content just to make some money. Of course, one of the individuals that people always fall back on is Security Team 10, and the fact that it seems that they really don't validate or look through what they're putting out there as long as they can clickbait it and get the views they need on YouTube. But they've had a partner in crime when it comes to this, and someone that goes by the name of Scott C. Waring. It turns out that the conspiracy theorist that was posting what many believe was the worst case of pareidolia ever seen by mankind. Mr. Scott C. Waring has been claiming that in his research he has found creatures that resembled animals on Earth, on Mars. Some of these include a giant mouse, baboons, bears, and even crabs. Well, Mr. Waring has decided that he will no longer be posting his findings, whatever that may be. He's going to sit back and, kind of hang out in the dark. Basically, he's going to be a shadow person for ufology. His website is UFOSightings.daily.com. And let me just read for you what his final post says. And not all of it, because a lot of it, he's touting his own horn, if you will. But let me read you the last paragraph. And I wish I had taps to play. I will still be around. Still keeping up, just not posting anymore. I think it's changed. No duh. It was educational before. It was enlightening before. It was even comforting somehow knowing the truth. But it seemed to have taken a turn as entertainment. Let me pause there, because when someone says a turn, usually you mean a turn for the worst. I don't see how entertainment is a turn for the worst unless you're screwing people over with bad information. But I digress. Let me continue. That was never my intention. Liar. This is serious stuff that has depths that even I can't fathom. It deserves serious thought and research, not contempt and ridicule, and we together have made a change that will last forever. It's been great. Scott C. Waring, UFO Sightings Daily. Adios, amigo. So listen, I just want to be honest, and the thing is that though we hate clickable content and individuals who throw this crazy crap up, in a way, they do their part in keeping the conversation of ufology in the mainstream. The only negative side to this is that all their hoaxing, fake tomfoolery, all it really does is it does bring out the negative ridicule. It does bring out the negative ridicule and causes, in many ways, more problems than it does good. Do I believe for 1 second that Scott C. Waring is out of the ufology business? Nope. Do I think that UFO Sightings Daily is going to disappear? Not a chance. Instead, I see Scott C. Waring joining up with somebody else and taking on a different venture, just not putting his name out front where everybody recognizes him as a hoaxer and poster child for pareidolia. So that's it. This is the end. That is a news report that I have for you today, my friends, listeners. This has been UFO Buster Radio, UFO News Report 1. Check you out on Wednesday for the second report. And if you see any crabs or lobsters on Mars, there's a job open for you on UFO Sightings Daily. Ciao.